Hello, good afternoon. I hope this finds you well. Welcome to Tuesday Tips, where we dive into some real actionable tips that you can take as a coach, as a leader, to expand your view of things, your perspective, to apply to your skills or your whatever you're doing. Last week we talked about organization. This week we're diving into the concept of ongoing professional development, mindset, the way we think about things. And I'm going to give you 5 tips that you can apply right away to strengthen your coaching wherever you are in your journey. Whether you are listening to this and you are maybe new to a coaching program, maybe you've been out of your coaching certification program for a couple of years and you're wondering, is there something I could do to be just a little more cutting edge with my clients? Maybe I'm falling into habits that I'm not certain if they're good habits or bad habits. And I've sort of gotten into a routine and I don't feel like I'm expanding anymore. So whatever it is, maybe you've been coaching for 20 years, but there's still things that you could do to continue to sharpen your saw. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Meg Rentschler, executive and mentor coach. I'm the host of the Star Coach Show, where we provide strategies, tools, and resources for professional coaches and leaders each and every week. I picked this topic today because I think it's really important to consider our journey and the fact that it's really our responsibility as professionals to continue to sharpen our saws. So these 5 tips are going to be something you can jump into right away. But I also chose this topic because I like in my Tuesday tips to highlight what's going to go live on the show on Wednesday. If you're new to the Star Coach Show, first of all, we have over 420 episodes. So please visit starcoachshow.com because I really think you're going to like what you see there. If you are a coach, whether you are continuing to build your skills, whether you have a business that you want to expand or just begin, we've got resources for you there. And if you coach in organizations or are a leader who'd like to use more coaching skills, the Star Coach Show is for you. So every Wednesday, we have a new show that goes live. And this Wednesday, as in tomorrow, my show is with Fran Fisher, who is a master certified coach and really a pioneer in the coaching industry. She's going to be talking to us about that path that goes from PCC, professional certified coach, into master certified coach. But really what we're talking about is skill development. We're talking about the way we want to be with clients and invite them into their growth. It's really an awesome episode. I'm super excited that it comes out tomorrow. So be sure to subscribe wherever so the Star Coach Show is on every podcast platform. If you're a Spotifyer, if you're an Apple Podcast person, wherever you listen to your podcast, look for the Star Coach Show. And if you happen to be somebody who's watching me right now on YouTube, those episodes go live on YouTube so you can watch the interviews and you can maybe get a little more connection by seeing the person and the exchange that happens. So let's dive into what we want to talk about today, which is the concept of continually growing, being mindful of our own growth and development as a coach, as a professional coach, as a partner in the coaching partnership. So if you have ever been trained by me, if you are listening to this live or you're hearing the recording, you're going to, if you've worked with me, this is not going to be something that's new for you, but it is just so incredibly important. And that's that we do regular reflection and self-assessment. The best way that I know to do that is by recording some of your sessions. You might, let's be honest. If you record every one of your sessions, you're probably not going to have time to listen back to everyone unless you're doing a session here or a session there. But if you're regularly coaching, then either engage with somebody who is willing to have their sessions recorded. Maybe you give them a reduced rate so that you can record your sessions for personal development. Or your clients might be fine with you recording as long as you assure them that it is being kept confidential and that is the purpose of your self-reflection and self-assessment. I promise you, you will hear your coaching differently when you hear it back than when you're in the moment of coaching. Now, this isn't to beat ourselves up. This is, as a matter of fact, there are times that I've listened back to a recording of my coaching and thought, oh, I was stronger in that coaching session than I thought I was. I wasn't feeling that good about it at the time. Or, we might listen back and think, oh, I thought that kind of went in a different direction than it did. This is the deal. It is not to beat yourself up, or it's always uncomfortable to hear ourselves back. I'm listen back to my interviews. I listen back to coaching conversations and am able to say, "Ooh, I could have done this differently. I, was more directive in that than I meant to be, or I could have asked one question and instead I asked two, or my question was too complex." Whatever. This is the deal. Rather than just, only reflecting back on our sessions, which is a great thing to do, by the way. If we can put time between our sessions, be thoughtful about our sessions at the end. What did I like? What could I have done differently? That is great. And set ourselves up for the next session, release the last session, be intentional about what we're walking into and how we want to be with the next client. Those are all great things and will certainly strengthen our skill set. And listening to yourself coach and listening with the PCC markers next to you or the MCC behavioral anchors, whatever it is that you're working toward, do some personal assessment towards that and look at for patterns that are serving you in your coaching and patterns that aren't. Really challenge yourself to be thinking about, am I falling into autopilot? Am I falling into doing things the same way, using the same language all the time? And then I challenge you to think about, how can you stretch? How can you expand? So my very first tip that you could begin immediately is doing that regular reflection on your sessions. Listen back to a client or two that allows you to record and do some self-assessment. Use the tools that the International Coaching Federation offers around ACC minimum requirements, PCC markers, MCC behavioral anchors, whatever those are that you're using. Kind of compare what you're doing to those things. It will expand the way you're thinking about your coaching, the way you're engaging with your coaching. Okay, so that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is not going to be a surprise for anybody. It's something that hopefully we're all doing if we are certified, or as a coach, we have to do continuing education. But ongoing education and training is just one of those things that as professionals we do. And very truthfully, it's a great way to engage with other people. It's a great way to lean into something that really interests you or excites you. So stay engaged with what's the latest thing that's going on. Is it something that lights you up? There's, the ICF has recently created a special track for group and team mentoring, or it's either group or team. Sorry, I should know that. But anyway, the point being, how can you attend workshops, get new certifications? Are there assessments that you'd like to be certified in that really kind of engage your thinking in a different way? If you're not intentional about this, so first of all, this whole concept of ongoing education as professionals, that's something that we want to be sure that we're responsible about doing. And I know that life happens and it gets busy and it can pull our attention. So what I find is that for those coaches who are certified, who are on a 3-year cycle to get 40 hours of continuing education, get their mentor coaching hours if they're an ACC. If they put that off, then they're not able to be intentional about the kind of training they get. They just end up having to get is what training they can to get it in real quick and get those hours so that they can recertify. So what I would recommend is that you think about what does interest me, what new books are out that I would love to read, what are, and I've got some of my favorite books right here next to me on the shelf. And I was thinking, so Breakthrough Coaching by Dr. Marsha Reynolds. She's been on the show. It's a fabulous book about how we coach and how we show up in that partnership. I'm going to get distracted by the books that are next to me, so I'm not going to look at them anymore because there's so many good ones. I could talk like for an hour about that, and that's not what we're here to do. But basically, what are things that are available that give you new perspective and help with your ongoing training and education? And podcasts can certainly be a part of that. I do recommend that you visit the Star Coach Show and see the amazing guests that we've had on and what they offer in the way of skill development and business building. So, regular reflection and self-assessment. Second tip, ongoing education and training. It's just one of those things. You know what? Our certification programs is not where things end. We continue to grow and learn beyond that. Now, how are we potentially using the people that have walked the path before us to learn and grow from? So my third tip is, actually, we did a Tuesday tip about this just a couple weeks ago, was that concept of being a part of a peer group that you can learn and grow from. Peer coaching can be a great way. As a matter of fact, barter coaching is another one of the episodes that we've had on the Star Coach Show. But when you coach with a peer and you coach back and forth, first of all, that counts as paid coaching because you're bartering that back and forth. But it's also a great way to continue to grow your muscle and actually coach, because nothing will build your coaching better than actually coaching. The other thing is invest in a mentor. When we work with somebody who can help stretch us, can help build those muscles, it's a great way to learn. It's also a requirement if you're an ACC coach that you have a mentor at least 10 hours every 3 years. I have regular mentor programs in my business. I would welcome you to explore those if that's something that interests you at starcoachshow.com/mentor, MENTOR, starcoachshow.com/mentor. You can find out about the mentor programs that I have. I actually have one starting this week, and there's still a couple spaces available. So when we engage regularly in working with people who know what the skill set is, who know how to challenge us and support us. That's just a great way to continue to grow our muscles. In addition to that, like I said, peer coaching and working with peers, coaching peers who can then say to you, this worked well, but this was also something that we might have explored, or those kinds of things. Having that conversation after coaching can be a great way to sharpen your saw. So, regular reflection and self-assessment, ongoing education and training, peer coaching, and working with a mentor. Our fourth uh, is a little, you might think, well, what does this have to do with it? But it has a ton to do with it. And it's actually, as we take care of ourselves and we're cognizant of what we need personally, it helps us embody a coaching mindset. So we want to be able to model for ourselves and for others the growth mindset. We want to practice things like regular meditation. I had a call yesterday with a dear friend who I spent years being her accountability partner. We would have regular accountability calls, and we've known each other for about 12 years, and we touched base yesterday, and she said, I've been meditating twice a day, and it is doing amazing things for settling me, getting me tapped into my inner wisdom. So that concept of what are we doing to reflect, to meditate, to work with our own personal coach, or prayer, or what are we doing to go within and to pay attention to the wisdom that is within all of us, that sometimes gets covered up by the gunk and the hassle and the swirl of life. So just like we would recommend to our clients, what are you doing to tap into your inner wisdom? They're working with us, a coach, to do that. So are you working with a coach? Are you getting physical exercise? Are you taking care of the temple that is you, that ultimately sets us up for success as what we're bringing forward? Because we've got to start here and sort of put our own oxygen mask on first. So what are you doing for your own self-care, your own reflective practice, your own centering each day in the way of your professional development and personal development? And then our fifth tip is, what are you doing to get regular feedback from your clients? Now, many coaches are sort of hesitant about this. I understand, like, getting feedback can be like, ooh, a little vulnerable, right? So whether you are using a survey system that allows your clients to give anonymous feedback, whether you are having an exit interview with your clients as an engagement ends about what worked well for them, what would they like to be different? Sometimes that anonymous feedback will get you more honest feedback. Sometimes just having a conversation is a great way. But are you opening yourself up to consistent feedback from your clients? Are you creating, perhaps forms that they can complete at the midway point, at the, end point? Many of us have forms available to our clients as they're onboarding, introductory questions and goals, forms, and all these things that get them engaged in the coaching process. What are we doing as we're nearing the end? What are we doing in the way of getting structured, honest feedback from our clients so that we can tweak what works well? Now, I get every client is different, and we don't want to have cookie cutter approaches with anyone. And yet, when we're open to feedback and we can explore what's meaningful and what works for our clients, that's going to serve us in our ongoing growth and development as a coach as well. So as we wrap up our Tuesday tips today, sharpening that saw, staying vigilant about growing our skills, will grow our confidence. And the more confident we are in our ability to coach and our ability to meet client challenges, your business is going to grow. You're going to be more successful as a coach when you're more confident as a coach. And how do you get more confident? You continue to grow your skills and develop. So, my 5 tips are to do your own regular reflection and self assessment of your sessions by listening back to your sessions, by engaging in exploration next to some of the tools that are out there about what we do as coaches, ongoing training and workshops and education. It doesn't it not some things are very, very expensive, but there's a lot out there that you can do that is not that expensive and really moves us forward, including things like books and free podcasts. Doing peer coaching and mentoring, a huge way to build those skills. Your own self-care and personal practices that you put in place to honor your being, honor your growth, honor your quiet, and tap into your inner wisdom. And then finally, how are you asking for feedback? How are you asking feedback from the very people that you want to help get results? And when you ask for that feedback, it helps you grow as a coach, but also it gives you great information to use your clients' words in testimonials, if it's okay with them for you to use a testimonial, in helping people see the results you get as a coach, because what people are buying is not necessarily the relationship. They're buying the results. They're buying what they want to get to. And when you ask for feedback, it certainly helps you grow, but B, it also helps with your marketing. So it's a win-win. So I want to once again invite you to subscribe wherever you listen. I hope you enjoy our Tuesday tips. I hope you get so much out of each and every one of our Star Coach episodes. Every Wednesday, a new episode comes out. Tomorrow, it is Fran Fisher, who is a master certified coach, talking about the path from PCC to MCC. But really, what we're talking about is, what do masterful coaches do? So I hope that you will tune into that. It is a joy to spend time focusing on coaches and what coaches can do to be the best they can be, because the world needs coaching. The world needs better listening, more understanding, more connection rather than distance. Because remember, we're all here on this earth together for a reason. Let's do that heavy lifting together. And thank you for being here. Until next week, this is Meg Rentschler wishing you the very best for your success.